Welcome to the Couple on Fire podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk all about food, family, and feuds. That's Thanksgiving and family. When's that coming up?
Right now.
Welcome, guys. If you never joined us before, I am one of your hosts, Josh. I'm here with the beautiful Miss Kristy.
Hello.
We are the Couple on Fire, guys. If you're interested in listening or watching a podcast that's going to involve anything about taking your faith, family, and future to the next level, this is the one. We like to do it in short, bite-size, road trip size. We're talking about just here to the grocery store, maybe to work, 15 to 20 minutes long. Today, we're actually going to talk about Thanksgiving and food, family, and feuds, and that's what's coming up. So.
Maybe not just holidays in general.
Oh, yeah. Holidays in general.
But
okay.
Thanksgiving is the next one.
It is in a couple days from now.
It's exciting because I love food.
And I love cooking, so that works out. We're like a high five family.
Yeah.
Bam, right there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about food, family, and feuds. Especially, Kristy was mentioning something earlier, kind of about like...
You're forgetting to ask me something.
Oh, yeah. Well, you always don't know. So I'm going to... Oh, you're ready today. What's on your mind, girl?
No, I didn't have anything
Oh.
specific. I just want you, we can't break out of the thing.
Oh, man.
You need to
She's
ask
a creature
me.
of habit. Die hard.
You have to ask me, is there
so
anything
funny.
on? And yes, okay, so this Saturday, I'm super excited because almost every single one person's going to be missing, but almost every single person in our family is going to see Moana 2. Except for Graydon, because he has to go to an away game with EMU marching band. But my sister and her husband are coming, and all of our other kids are coming, and their significant others, and the grandbabies, and that's exciting.
Fun stuff.
I like going to the movies.
She kind of does. Like a lot more than just
We've
about
been to
anything
see
else.
Gladiator 2. I've been to see Wicked, and now we're going to go see Moana 2. In the last week.
It's the movie three-peat. Here we go. Okay. So let's talk about food, family, and feuds when we talk about holidays, but we're talking kind of about Thanksgiving right now because that's coming up. So what you got on your mind on that, girl?
Well, what a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about, or I don't hear it talked about a lot. I could be completely wrong, but the holidays can be stressful leading up to it. If you recognize where your stomach's at and things like that, because the whole family, all these different family members, some usually are coming together, and it can be stressful. If you're the one that's stressed out because you are the peacekeeper, if someone else is stressed out because you're going to have to deal with gaslighting or narcissistic comments or anything like that, it can be stressful. And what's important to know is getting confident in yourself and boundaries that you can set. So I wanted to just talk about a few things that you could say, because a lot of family members, maybe even unhealthy ones that want fight and want drama, will want to confront you or make a comment to you in the midst of all the chaos when all this is going on. And we need to remember what this holiday season is about. Thanksgiving is about giving thanks and being appreciative for life. So you don't have to be mad about it when you do it. Stay calm and say just a few healthy little tidbits to shut it down.
Yeah, and I think it is important to say that confrontation has its place always.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe during Thanksgiving or holiday coming up isn't the time. And yes, you're probably going to have family members because it's always stressful to some degree. Somebody's maybe having a bad day, or you just normally don't get along with this type of person in a normal aspect, or something's going to happen that's going to throw this. Anyway, so maybe you're the person that's having a bad day and maybe you're throwing comments. I don't know. But the time is not to get in confrontation during that time because nothing gets solved. It only makes things worse. And I think it's really important to say, I can sleep this right now, but I am going to re-confront it later. And that it can be a boundary. That can be, hey, I'm going to confront this in a healthy way, right? Not everybody you can confront. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to solve a problem by going and redoing that. I just look at it like, maybe sometimes you shouldn't just leave it alone, but you need to leave it alone during that time.
Yeah. And I do agree, if a person is coming over, a family member you don't normally see, but you see them on the holidays or birthdays or things like that, and it's unusual for them and you can tell they're having a bad day, that's one thing. But if every time you're around this person, they're having a bad day, that's just how they are. So you have to know and have some skills to say, I am not going to allow that anymore. And I'm personally am really coming into that era. I don't know if it's because my birthday is coming up or it's because I don't have a job anymore and I'm really able to do some healing of my own. But I have a voice and I don't have to put up with passive aggressive comments. I can be honest, not cruel, and loving and say, I'm not allowing that. I can't stop stop someone from talking to me the way they want to talk to me, but I can stop being around it. And so I
Mm.
think it's really important for you to be confident in that. So some of the things that I want to talk about, and then Josh will have something to say about all of them, so I never have to worry about that. Not that that's a bad thing.
No, it's good.
It's
It's
not.
good.
You know that about me.
I'm setting a boundary.
Oh my gosh. So one of the things can be if someone wants to come, or if you're constantly dealing with a narcissistic or a gaslighting person or a passive aggressive person, is I would not like to talk about that right now. Another thing would be you could say, I appreciate your input, but I've made my decision. Another one would be, I expect my partner and I to be treated with respect, or we won't attend family functions any longer.
Mhm.
4 would be, that compromise isn't fair to me. So let's discuss other options. Or 5, I will no longer be the middle person in family arguments. So I think it's important for these. This is just a snippet of, I don't know if many of you have read How to Win Friends and Influence People, but it is like trying to always have a win-win outcome in mind. Like
Mhm.
how not you win, the other person loses,
Right.
but like
Win-win.
win-win.
Mhm.
How can we come to a compromise in this that's fair to both people? But there is always the option of no deal, which is in that book. So it's like, okay, if that person digs their heels in and there is no, okay, then we don't have a deal. And then you have to make the decision that for us would be godly, not cruel, would do what Jesus would want to do. But there's things that Jesus didn't allow either. He always spoke truth and he always stood for honesty and character in obviously in his life.
Yeah, and we have to remind ourselves too, if we're believers in Jesus, we have to take the high road. We're called to take the high road, and that's never an easy thing. It's almost never an easy thing. And so, like Christy's saying, if it's not win-win, then we need to say, okay, I need to be the one that's going to take the high road. And what does that high road look like? It doesn't necessarily mean eat crow and keep taking abuse, right? And we have to get that. I think Christians a lot of times get that twisted. Like we're supposed to be the doormat now. No, we don't have to be the doormat. We can take the higher road and say, okay, we're just saying no deal on this then, right? Like I'm going to be amicable about this. I'm going to slide my way back out of this. Maybe I'll be the one that has to change my schedule around and not be part of these things, and that can really be sucky for us sometimes. But we have to be willing to say, you know what am I sacrificing by allowing this to continue to go on? Is it hurting my family? Is it hurting my spouse? Is it hurting my children? How is this affecting everything? And being open and honest with ourselves about how all of these food, family, and feuds, like all these things come together, or we just be like, this is just how things always have been. Well, maybe that's a big problem. I think that's just the definition of insanity. Are we continuing down the same path, expecting something to be different this holiday season? Or are we going to implement some of the things that Kristy was just saying and say, hey, it's okay to say no, or my wife doesn't deserve that. My husband doesn't deserve that. And we're just not going to stand for that anymore. And I'm sorry if you don't understand that. That's okay. But we're going to go ahead and slide back out of this.
But I liked what you said earlier in the very beginning though too. Like if someone wants to approach you or get into something or make a passive aggressive comment or whatever during a huge family function,
Yeah.
it would say, don't let it lie and say, no, I want to deal with this. Because a lot of times you're like, oh, I'll just deal with that later, or I'll confront them about that later. But then it just keeps getting swept under the rug, swept under the rug, and then it affects you. So you want to be amicable, like you said, and I would look at that person and say, hey, I want to hear you and I want to deal with this. And there's some things that are said that I don't like either, but I don't think this holiday format right now is the right space to do it. Let's pull out our calendar and we're going to schedule a date right now and we're going to get together and we're going to talk about it in the future. And then that way both people know, okay, like I'm going to be heard. There's a date, there's an outcome that's going to be happening. I can enjoy this holiday now with the family because I know that it's going to be taken care of. And that is okay too, because the other person, I don't think people are passive aggressive or gaslighting or any of that consciously. I think that's just how they are. There's a lot of unhealed people in the world, family members included. Then you can say, hey, I want to deal with this. I want to talk about this later. You're important to me. I do want to hear you out. That hurt my feelings, but this isn't the space to do it. Let's make sure we get together again because I love you and I want to make sure you and I are good. So I want to be able to deal with this.
Well, let's be honest. A lot of times, if someone is willing to attack you in the middle of a family function, that person most likely is looking for troops to come around them to
Mhm.
defend them, right? And you can't win in that situation, right? Even if you're being healthy in defending yourself, even if you're full logic, it just never works. You have to be like, hey, I care about you and I care what you're telling me right now. But first off, the way that you're saying it to me is unacceptable. And I do want to talk about this later. Just now's not the time. And I think that's fair. And then when you're willing to put space between that conversation and saying, I'm not jumping rope with you right now. I'm not doing this. This is not my, it's not my circus, not my monkeys. Like I'm not doing, you don't tell them that, right? Let's be honest. That's dangerous. Number one.
You're not my monkey.
Right. And this is not my circus. But you have to be willing to say, hey, I'm taking the high road in this and I'm just not engaging with this person because I can feel like this person, they're wanting all the troops. They want people to come to their rescue in these types of arguments. And that can be very damaging to you, even if you're on the right side of this argument.
Well, and others at the event. Like,
for sure.
That makes
puts people in the middle.
Yeah, it makes so many people uncomfortable, and
Yep.
people don't want to get put in the middle. Kids don't want to. And this is even on like times 100 when you're talking about blended families too. So you talk about nuclear families, they have their own drama. Blended families just adds another layer, another ring of drama potentially that could come into the holiday season. So I just think it's important for you to pray before it starts. You really try to have a calm heart and know in your mind that you're going to go into it as a peacemaker, and you can set your own, like, okay, I know in the future I can't go to that specific event, or I can't, and it's sad and sometimes it hurts, but you have to be confident in the decisions that you make.
And I think a lot of times what's really hard, but I think is the most effective, is trying to solve it before it becomes a problem. Don't wait till Thanksgiving and hope that things are going to be different.
Right.
Take the upper hand. Do something that's really, really hard and say, hey, I'm going to invite this confrontation on. I'm going to do everything in my power to solve it. I'm going to allow the Holy Spirit to work in me and give me peace and calmness and wisdom inside a conversation, and say, hey, because let's be honest, most people do not want to have, Kristy says something all the time. She's like, confrontation, you need to turn that around and stop saying it and saying it's just a conversation. And I think it's just our willingness to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be in confrontation with family members. I don't want to be in confrontation with, whoever it is that comes. Maybe it's a sister-in-law or a brother-in-law or an uncle or whoever it is, and have them come over and then say, hey, you know what? Now's the time, like, hey, this isn't the play. Maybe it's something you could have had a conversation about earlier on. And that's a hard thing to do, but that's probably going to be your best method.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So get ahead of it, right? Get ahead of it. So we know there's food coming, right? We know family's going to show up. And if you know there's already going to be a glaring issue, maybe there's one that's already been boiling, or there's one that is consistently ongoing, we know there could be a possible feud. The person that needs to step up is going to be you. Unfortunately, you can do one of two things. One, you can try and handle it beforehand, or number two, you can handle it in the way that Kristy said. We can start saying, I'm going to deflect and I'm going to solve later. And we have to make sure that we understand that our children are present, other people are present, and we are still a representative of Christ in these situations, and we have to take the high road.
Yeah, change feud to fun. Okay, so focus on having fun.
Have fun. Have fun.
We're going to have fun, and you're going to like it.
Right. This isn't a feud. This is fun. Suck it up as you're throwing mashed potatoes at someone's face. All right. Is that all you got?
Yeah. Other than the fact that also, I don't know if anybody's noticed anything new, but Josh got new glasses.
No, I didn't.
And I love this new look. I love it so much.
The last glasses I got was the same exact style for like the last 15 to 20 years. So this is a big change for me.
Big. I mean, you went like polar opposite from what he's had for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, this is a huge difference. It's the same brand. It's still Oakley because I like the straight backs because it's comfortable on my ears. But black, thick frames, man. Went for it.
I love it.
Went for it. All right. If you have a nice opinion, you're welcome to give it.
If
you don't have a nice one, please don't.
You look so good.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. We pray that you guys have an amazing, amazing family, non-feud, and what we say, non-feud, family, and food coming up this Thanksgiving.
Food is the most important thing.
Food is, yeah. Eat turkey. Don't eat lasagna on Thanksgiving. Please don't do that. Eat turkey. And if you don't know how to make turkey, just send me a DM. I'll send you the recipe.
Don't give away the special recipe.
I'll give away everything but the special sauce, and you're not getting that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. See you guys next time.
Bye.